So it's ridiculous to me when I see people justifying their unhealthy BMI, people who are clearly obese, because they think they have so much muscle. Girl, you don't. You don't. It's not how that works. If you're watching this and you're black, you can drink whey as well. Just like us whites. It is, we're very similar. Oh my God. Hello, my beautiful crew members, newcomers, but most importantly, my beloved OGs. Welcome to the second reaction on this channel. As said, I'm happy to do this every week if you guys are down for it. But first, let me introduce myself yet again. I am your host, Lucy, aka Lucifer, and I'm a former obese girl turned bodybuilder. In this outfit, you probably cannot see my muscles at all, but I promise you they are there. As always, if you haven't yet, I strongly suggest you hit the subscribe button. That way, you can join our amazing crew and you're not gonna miss the next videos. But without any further ado, let's react to some TikTok nonsense, shall we? Okay, this says, want this, and it's a flat stomach. Let's see where this goes. And now it's like giving you some crunch workout or ab workout. Now, this is a misconception that a lot of beginners fall into as well. You cannot ab workout yourself into a flat stomach. That is not how that works. And also, if we look at the picture in the beginning, it's not even like as if there are any super pronounced ab muscles there. And in fact, if you train your abs super hard, they would grow, right? In essence, making you wider. If you're trying to have the smallest waist possible, then you don't need massive abs. Maybe even a bit less. But whether or not your abs are visible, whether or not your stomach is flat, is going to be determined by how lean you are. That's why people say abs are made in the kitchen. Like, I rarely ever train abs, and a lot of bodybuilders rarely ever train abs, to be honest. And I've heard of some crazy trend in Korea or something that people actually inject Botox into the side of their abs. I forgot what it's called, like serratus, like no, slightly below the side of the abs, right? To try and atrophy the muscle on purpose, so their waist will look smaller. So they're trying to actively avoid growing their abs at all costs. Yeah, and I mean, if you're at the gym, you use your abs, I mean, in daily life, obviously they stabilize the muscles and whatnot, but also every time you're bracing, you're gonna use your abs. So, yeah, everyone has abs. Whether or not you see them, it's just about how lean you are. And in this picture, it's not even anything extreme. It's just a regular person that's not particularly fat. And from how she's standing here, like pulling it up as well, it's just, you can achieve that without ever training your abs, to be honest. That doesn't mean you shouldn't train your abs. It's great to have a strong core. That is, advisable. If you every once and again train your abs, at least that is not a bad thing. But yeah, you can get that also without ever training your abs. If you want visible abs, cool, then start dieting. Yes, if you have bigger ab muscles, they can become slightly more visible at a higher body fat percentage than they otherwise would. But again, how wide do you want to make your waist? That's why you see, again, it's people who train their abs a whole lot. Like, for example, if you look at fighters, you know, they usually have like quite a big wide midsection because they have to have a really strong core. I mean, they get punched in the stomach. They need abs of steel and stuff. Well, I see powerlifters also posting memes, you don't need a belt if you build your own, and they have these extremely wide and thick midsections, which is pretty badass. But again, that happens when you excessively train your abs and you're trying to grow the muscles in this region. And obviously for us bodybuilders, that is not what we want. We're trying to have a super tiny waist, so we are not the biggest ab trainers. But yeah, if you want a small waist, if you want visible abs, then start dieting. You can train your abs, but it's not gonna help you get a visible six-pack that is gonna happen from being in a caloric deficit and getting lean enough. Oh, here we have another one. How to build a small waist. Oh, by training your back. Hold on. What does it say here? Let me pause this. By training your back, you can create the illusion of a smaller waist. This is very true. This is someone who gets it right. So, this is especially relevant for women. If you want to make your waist appear as small as possible, having a wider back and having wider shoulders, not like you don't have to make them absolutely huge, but they create the illusion of more of an hourglass figure. So the wider your shoulders, the smaller your waist is going to look. And then the wider your ass is, as so big you can see it from the front, you're going to get more of that hourglass figure. So how small someone's waist can be is limited also by your skeleton, obviously. I'm always jealous when I see people who are blessed with these tiny rib cages and they can have these insanely small waists, which is super cool, especially if you also have like wider shoulders. So obviously your skeleton is like how far does this come out, right? So that's also going to determine like how wide can your shoulders be. So you are always going to be limited by your skeleton. But in any case, you can manipulate your silhouette. And this is the beauty of bodybuilding. Like you can basically, you obviously have to work with what you get, but you can manipulate it in any way you want. So if you're a woman and you're like, I want to have the coolest hourglass figure I can, then train your shoulders, train your back, and try to make your behind also as wide as you can. And diet, so even at a slightly lower body fat percentage, you can have the wide hips and the wide shoulders, and then your waist can be as small as it reasonably can be. Obviously, don't starve yourself. Us women, we need to be at a slightly higher body fat percentage to function properly. But yeah, you can build your hourglass figure however much you want. And obviously, I'm not talking, you don't have to build like a huge back like like I'm trying to do. Just, as the kids call it, toned. But let's see what else this even says. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, let's give him some back exercises here. Okay, cool. Yeah. No, this is a very nice post. I like this.
The first thing is you're building up a lot of lactic acid when you're doing all of that rigorous working out. Calisthenics is a good workout. You're using your.
So this says why bodybuilding is unhealthy, and now he's talking about lactic acid. If you go to the gym, you've experienced lactic acid. That's when you get that burn, especially in the legs. This can get quite painful, but that isn't unhealthy. That is quite a natural thing that happens. It's rather uncomfortable, and training really hard obviously stresses out your nervous system as well. But that is not bad at all. That is the process of making gains, and that in itself is not unhealthy.
On body weight,
at least not that I know of. Let's put it like that. If for some reason lactic acid burn is harmful, please tell me in the comments.
Doing things that's going to keep stretching the body, and you're going to keep, building natural muscle. When you get into bodybuilding and weightlifting, for one, you're building a lot of lactic acid, which is going to burn you. It's very acidic. For two, you're lifting weights and you're packing on a lot of muscles. And by doing that, you need a lot of protein. We know that protein is very, very bad for the black community. We don't need.
That's the most racist thing I've heard all day. Why would protein be bad for black people? That is, you are still human, right? At least I think so. Bro is doing his own people such a disservice by saying this. What?
Protein, we need something called simple amino acid structures. On top of that, this mass is very, very heavy. So technically, bodybuilders are 3 times overweight. Wow. You see that? And that's why you
3 times overweight. That's pretty specific, but okay. I'm not, so, right, I'm an off-season bodybuilder. I'm the heaviest I've been yet since I have been obese. And I am still not close to being in an obese BMI. I think a lot of people, it is honestly impressive when people get that big. And ultimately, I hope to get big enough that at least in the off season, I'm probably gonna, let's be real. The size I'm trying to get to, I will probably eventually be in a bit of a less healthy BMI, but probably even then just because I think people underestimate the amount of muscle it takes even as a bodybuilder, to reach that obese BMI number, especially as a woman, it is actually quite difficult. So I am still over, I think, like 12 kilos away from being classified as obese. I think I'm barely even overweight. Maybe. But it is really difficult. That's why it pisses me off when I hear these fat acceptance people talking about, oh yeah, or people just like fat people getting into the gym and they're like, yeah, it's just muscle mass, this and that. I'm like, girl, you do not have the amount of muscle it would take to make a dent in the BMI classification there. Let's put it like that. Muscle is not the reason, like the BMI applies to you, unless you are such an extreme outlier in terms of muscle mass, which is for a woman unachievable without PEDs. Let's put it like that. Like I said, I am not a natural athlete and I am quite big, but you would have to have the muscle mass of like a pro women's physique or pro bodybuilder, like obscene amounts of muscle, to have enough muscle as a woman on your frame to be classified as obese because of your muscle mass. So it's ridiculous to me when I see people justifying their unhealthy BMI, people who are clearly obese, because they think they have so much muscle. Girl, you don't. You don't. It's not how that works. But anyways, I'm going off on a different subject now. Let's listen to the little bit more that is in here.
See bodybuilders having heart attacks, and then they feel that they can eat anything they want and just stay in the gym all day.
Of course, he put a picture there of Kali Muscle. That's an interesting rabbit hole to go down as well. I think bro went on, like, he had a severe health scare and he started eating, I think it was only watermelon, which is also pretty brain dead if you ask me. Yeah, I still can't, I'm still not quite over that he said protein isn't good for black people. And he said something they need amino acids. Well, guess what protein is? Let's guess what whey protein is. If you're watching this and you're black, you can drink whey as well. Just like us whites. It is, we're very similar in that regard.
If you're eating cooked foods and cooked protein, you're dehydrating your body with every bite. What is that?
I don't know what he's going for here, but I mean, you're generally, if you're eating food, you're also getting moisture from your food. So depending on how dry your food is, usually you're not like actively dehydrating yourself. And ideally you would also be drinking water throughout the day, but let's see what he has to say.
It constipates your bowels, it constipates your blood, and then you've got acid accumulation, you become imbalanced. That's where you get the thyroid problems. That's where you get the HIV and the...
What the fuck?
Damn, boy. You're not gonna get HIV from cooking your food, I promise. Also, you're not gonna get constipated from cooking your food. You get constipated from not drinking enough water. Yes, dehydration can be a cause for constipation, but there is no reason. Just drink enough water. Generally, consume enough liquid. And if you don't like your food very dry, just season it properly. Not season. Put some sauces on it, and just meow. I'm sorry, I have a very needy cat here. One moment. And voila. We have a couscous joining us. Do you want to react as well? Okay, you can react with me. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, right. So you're not gonna get sick from cooking your food. That is perfectly fine. Let's continue.
Autoimmune issues because you're eating the cooked, dehydrated foods that are constipating your bowels. If you're eating cooked food...
Yeah, this is absolute nonsense. I would hope that goes without saying, but if anyone has any doubt, you are not gonna have any negative effects from cooking your food.
If you drink protein powder on its own, you will gain weight. If you drink it in the morning without any food, you will also gain weight. And guess what?
That is not true. The only thing that determines whether or not you gain weight is if you're in a caloric surplus or not. It doesn't matter when you eat your food, or just from a weight perspective, it doesn't necessarily even matter what that food is. The caloric intake matters. We're just talking purely about weight here. So you can have your protein shake whenever you want, and it doesn't make you gain weight unless your overall calorie input is higher than your output. And the inverse is also true. You can have your protein shake whenever you want. You're still going to lose weight as long as you're in a caloric deficit. So the timing of it, or whether or not you're eating it with something else, doesn't matter in terms of gaining or losing weight.
What happens if you keep sipping protein shakes in between meals? You will also gain weight. But here's what nobody tells you. Your body isn't satisfied with just protein. When you chug a protein shake on its own on empty stomach, you spike insulin and then crash. Your energy dips, you feel shaky, mood.
This is kind of true, but it would be more true for carbs. If it's just like, there's nothing wrong with just having a protein shake, especially when you're cutting, that can be quite beneficial. But yeah, usually speaking, it is quite good to have a balanced meal. But it's not terrible to have a protein shake on its own. Not like he's making it out to be that you're gonna have a seizure or something.
And hungrier than before. But not because you're weak, but because your body thinks it's starving. Protein shakes aren't your enemy. It's how and when you use them. After a workout, perfect. With a balanced meal, even better. But sipping shakes all day with nothing else, that leads to hunger.
Well, I mean, if you're already in a position where you can cook yourself a balanced meal, then you might as well use some meat, for example. After all, protein shakes are a supplement. You should try to get as much of your diet and your protein from animal sources, ideally. Unless you're obviously, if you're vegan, that's perfectly fine. Eat your tofu as well. But yeah, you don't have to have protein shakes. After all, whey is pretty expensive unless you're very specific with your diet. Like, they can be a great tool if you have specific protein goals, right? And specific macro goals. It can be easier to achieve them by incorporating whey. Let's put it like that. I mean, there's a reason many bodybuilders like myself use whey, but whey is still not a substitute for a steak. Let's put it like that. Ideally, you do want to make sure that a significant amount of your protein is coming from actual food sources. Whey is still food, but you get what I mean. You get what I mean.
Cravings, and stool fat loss. So fix it right and treat your shakes like normal meals. Have some.
Yeah, but you're also not going to stall any weight loss by having a protein shake on its own. Especially in prep, my post-workout meal, eventually, because I was obviously cutting pretty intensely, was just a whey protein shake. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a source of protein. And it doesn't affect the efficiency of your weight loss or gain. This is absolutely amazing. I don't even know what to say. This is bending. This has its own field of gravity. Nothing to say there. It's just so pathetic to me when people do that. I don't know why people even do that. Here's another one. It's just ridiculous. Again, just people hearting this. Okay.
For all you youngsters trying to build muscle, let me advise you. This is not food. It's a chemical concoction put together in a lab by some corporation. Humans are the only animals that insist on eating powder. This is not food.
Whey protein is processed, I'll give him that, but that doesn't mean that it's bad or that it's not quality food. There is very much difference between the McDonald's type of processed foods versus some whey. It's definitely not bad for you. I don't know why. What is with this recent hate for protein powder? There is literally nothing wrong with it.
Read the ingredients. I tell you what you need to build muscle. You need eggs, lamb, beef, chicken.
Yeah, again, he's not wrong. Like, this is where your main these should be your main sources of protein, but there is still nothing wrong with incorporating whey into your diet. It can be convenient. Again, it can help you reach the macros that you want, but it's not necessarily a substitute for eggs, beef, and chicken. And also, whey is expensive, especially when you get the isolate. But he also said, look at the ingredients, and I actually agree with him. Look at your protein powder, because cheaper ones can have, so their proteins are amino acids, right? And so you can sometimes, you see the composition, like what's in the protein powder, and sometimes they get a bit funny with like overdosing. So the cheaper ones, let's put it like that. Yeah, there is sometimes some funny business going on with proteins, but yeah, generally speaking, there is nothing wrong with buying them. And if you live in a country that has laws that about consumer protection, then you shouldn't really have too much to worry about. Although there was recently, I think this was in the US though, there was some company that they did protein shakes, and supposedly they tasted like cake batter, and some people really loved them. And turns out they were basically cake batter. Like, there was not much protein in there at all, and they got busted for it. And I felt so bad for the people that bought that for years. Oh my god! Like, this whole time, you're not even hitting your protein goals. Like, that stuff like that can literally affect your progress. Obviously, I was so pissed if someone basically took, like, if I was like, damn, I could be bigger right now. I could have more muscles, but because these people were scamming me, I didn't. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, he's not wrong. Point is, read the label. It's probably a good idea. That is solid advice. I mean, he's not wrong. Bodybuilding will, if you're taking your bodybuilding seriously, it can be a lonely lifestyle. Obviously, there are. It's not for everyone like that. Obviously, you can have a social life, but it is true that as a bodybuilder, it will limit your social life and the kind of social life you can have. If you're going out, you won't be able to always go out with for food with people. In the off season, yeah, sure, maybe you get your weekend cheat meal or whatever that you get, or off plan meal, or however you want to call it. But yeah, something like or going out drinking on the weekends, that's just something you cannot do. I mean, you can, but it will impact your bodybuilding, so therefore you probably wouldn't do that. Yeah, it can be impacting to your social life. For me personally, I'm actually quite happy at the moment. I just like becoming one with the routine and one with the grind. And I have friends, many of which are actually abroad, unfortunately, because I've been moving around in my life quite a lot. But I have friends here as well that I speak to pretty much every single day, mostly online. That's the beauty of the internet. But I do see my friends semi-regularly, every once in a while at least. But yeah, probably don't have as much as a social life as most other people, I guess. But that's fine. I mean, yeah, you can bodybuild any way you want. I assume a lot of bodybuilders have a more regular social life. Like, if there's this group of people that I want to play Warhammer with more often, but they also got other things going on at the moment, and I am waiting to go play with them. If they would do that like regularly every weekend, then I'd probably go do that a lot more as well, because I crave Warhammer. But yeah, I can't exactly play without them as well, because I still don't have my own army, and obviously that is something that is outside my wallet right now, especially with competing coming up. But the day will come that I will build my own army. I have a couple models, but yeah, sorry, I'm rambling on about gaming again. Different type of gaming this time, but yeah. Okay, let's do one more and then we'll call it quits.
One thing I learned growing up is that having a six-pack doesn't mean you're strong as shit. Majority of bodybuilders, or like the strongest people in the world, do not have abs at all. Maybe some of them do, but not all of them do. Majority of them don't have it because your abs are used to protect your gut and also for you to have a better posture rather than actual strength. Well, it builds core strength, but not actual so-called physical strength, like punching strength.
I'm interested to hear what this guy's definition of actual physical strength is, because last time I checked, so every muscle has strength. Obviously going to depend on the movement, but abs are, if your abs are strong, you can do more crunches, right? Like they are strength, and he's correct that they do protect your core and they give you a strong core. So I don't see what is wrong with that. And he said actual strength being punching strength. So is this one of those guys that, oh yeah, unless you can fight, your muscle is useless? Let's see.
I hate abs. Like, I recommend people to go get them if they want to. Sure, it strengthens your core, it looks cool.
Oh, he said get them, but like again, you can get visible abs without ever training your abs. So is he referring to strong abs, or I'm confused? But he also said that a lot of strong people don't have abs. Everyone has abs. They might just not be visible. And that's also because, yeah, if you're a strong man or a powerlifter or something like that, mass moves mass. And you're probably also going to perform better at a very healthy body fat percentage. Because, yeah, for us bodybuilders, when we're in prep and we're really lean and you got that nice six-pack, it looks really cool and you feel really badass. But at some point, you are actively going to get weaker. The further into prep you get, the weaker you're going to get. Like at the end, you're going to be hanging on for dear life, because yeah, being super lean is not exactly conducive to performance. You can still be very strong and relatively lean, especially as a man, so you can have visible abs and still be really strong. But if you're purely trying to max out strength, then yeah, you're probably gonna put a few extra kilos on. I mean, you've seen strong men; they are pretty damn beefy. Like that's what that looks like if you're just trying to maximize moving weight or actually physical strength. Then yeah, abs are not gonna be visible abs are not going to be helpful at all. Abs are going to be very helpful, and you're using them for bracing, you're using them to stabilize, your body uses them for all sorts of things, important muscle. But yeah, for them to be visible in terms of like strength is not a priority, yeah.
And it looks intimidating, but overall, abs does not help you with your physical strength. We're also about to hit 10K, so please hit a follow, please hit thank you, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, abs do help you with your physical strength. As says, you need them for a lot of things. And again, every time you're bracing, you're going to be using your abs. But yeah, for now, I'm going to leave it here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions or want me to react to anything specific, please leave it in the comments below. As you know, besides my muscles, I'm also trying to grow the most badass crew on YouTube. So again, I would thank you very much if you would hit the subscribe button and join our crew. For now, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.